From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Hickson. Usually you see me here either talking to my dear friend Hector Bosa on the phone, or he's here in the studio co-hosting with me. Unfortunately, Hector could not make it tonight because of lingering health issues that he continues to take care of. Hopefully he'll be able to join us next week, though. So, we're very happy that you could join us this evening. Now, if there's a particular story that you want us to talk about, then we want to know about it. So don't forget to contact us on YouTube, where you could see all the reruns, on Facebook as well, on Twitter as well. And if you would like for us to so much as cover a game, then we definitely want to know about it. Now, with this being Martin Luther King Day, I figure it's time for us to bring a little twist to tonight's show. Tonight, we're going to do a little reminiscing. We're going to talk about the golden age of both sports and entertainment. And what better person to try and discuss this with than someone who has personified reliving the good old days with her show, Remember This. It's my longtime friend Denise Boland, who was kind enough to take time out of a very, very busy schedule to join us in the studio tonight, and here she is. Hello, Denise.
Hi. Hey, Jamie.
It's great to see you again. How are you, my friend?
It's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you.
It truly is.
Thank you
This is the first
so
for
much.
me to be on a sports show. I'm excited.
Yeah, and the irony about this is that you're not a sports fan.
No, I mean, I don't really follow sports, but I am a diehard Yankees fan.
That's good.
Always have been, always will be.
That's very good.
Yep.
It's funny that you mentioned the Yankees because not too far from now, pitchers and catchers are going to report in Florida.
That's right.
And
Spring training.
this could be a very, very critical year for the Yanks, especially after the disappointment of losing in the ALCS to Houston last year. Now, from what I understand, you have brought some of the same goodies that you use on your show onto our show. So where do you want to
Yes.
start first?
Okay. Well, first let me say I have a retro pop culture TV show here on Staten Island Cable since 2015. It started because I created a Facebook group called Remember This, and I started posting stuff from our childhood. So I started posting like pictures of platform shoes, bell bottoms, click-clacks, and it just took off, and everybody was getting in on it. And remember this Tootsie Roll Pop commercial, and all the stuff we grew up with, and it's fun reminiscing, right? Who doesn't love to reminisce?
I am getting a clear image in my head right now of that Tootsie Pop commercial.
Don't you love it?
Of course, if you ask the owl
Yes.
that's in that commercial, he'll tell you that it's 3.
And how did he say it was 3? Do you remember?
1, a 2, 3, crunch, 3.
3.
I can remember it like it was yesterday.
Great. And we actually did a little skit on Remember This. My daughter was the little girl that asked Mr. Owl, and we had Mr. Owl on the show.
Really?
Yeah, a little costume
Nice.
character. Yeah, someone dressed up
Nice.
as Mr. Owl, and they acted out that little scene. And then she's
Wow.
like, "What I hate is a smart owl," and that's how the commercial ended. And then you saw the little Tootsie Roll Pops, and the wrappers coming off, and them getting sucked down to the Tootsie Roll. And it's our childhood. It's it's ingrained in us. We love it.
Thank God for YouTube.
I actually have one on me. I'll give you one later.
Because they air a plethora of those old commercials.
Yes.
And it's not just the Tootsie Pop or Tootsie Roll commercials either. I mean, they have commercials going back, I would say, to the 50s maybe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
And
Black and white.
At that time in the 50s, they would only air maybe one spot, and then there would be a sponsor that would be announced over the air.
That's right.
Of course, things would change now, and in this day and age, commercials have practically dominated the TV airwaves.
Yeah.
I think for a half-hour show, there's about 8 minutes worth of commercials or 9 minutes worth of commercials.
Yeah.
And for a 60-minute show, it's a good 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Do you
That's why
think
people love
that
cable.
do you think that this constant commercials is good or bad for TV?
I mean, it's good because they need sponsors, but I think it's just too much. You're ingraining your product into society. You're pushing your product, and that's not always a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then some of these commercials are getting a little far off.
Yeah.
Like the medical commercials are a little too graphic now, the things that they're saying.
Oh, yeah,
And
the medical commercials.
Yeah.
Also, the Viagra commercials that air during games when kids are watching.
Yeah,
kids are going to be a little curious to find out or want to know what Viagra even is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It used to be where, the censors would have a little bit of control over, what's being aired during what time,
Mm-hmm.
like prime time.
There was a time when a simple cigarette advertisement was considered risque.
Yeah.
Now things have changed so much.
You know what it is? They didn't know cigarettes were dangerous back then. If you watch those shows from the 50s, if you watch Dick Van Dyke, I Love Lucy, you're going to see them smoking cigarettes because they didn't know it was so bad. I mean, I are actually talking about YouTube. I saw a clip where Fred and Barney, the Flintstones, they were actually smoking. It was a commercial, I think, for Winston cigarettes.
That's right. It was a very famous but also very controversial commercial.
Yeah.
Because the kids loved the Flintstones.
That's right. Sure.
And some of them were under the impression that smoking cigarettes was cool when it was really dangerous.
What about the candy cigarettes?
Oh, those are the worst.
They had to actually change the name to Candy Sticks and make them not look like cigarettes. But when we were kids, they looked like cigarettes. They had the bubble gum ones with the little puff of powder came out of them, remember? And we thought we were cool.
Is there one commercial that you saw which you feel stands out among the others as far as really, really great in getting its message across?
There's a couple that I could think of offhand. If you're talking about back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Whipple, please don't squeeze the Charmin.
I love those commercials.
We still have Charmin, so you guys know what that is. Do you remember that?
I remember it very vividly.
For those that don't remember that, I guess he was the manager of a store, a supermarket, and the women would be squeezing it and smelling it because it's so soft and it smells so good. And he would yell at them, "Don't squeeze the Charmin, don't squeeze the Charmin." And at the end of the commercial, he's in the corner squeezing the Charmin, and they're telling him now.
Yep. There are two that stand out to me. Time to Make the Donuts.
Oh yes.
Which
we
was
still
done by
use
this
that expression.
really, really good
Right?
character actor who, if I'm not mistaken, also did an episode of The Cosby Show.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
He was Mr. Breakstone too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Breakstone cottage cheese.
Yep.
But the other, which probably really was not just great, but seemed to foretell a very, very fascinating future. The IBM commercial that aired during the Super Bowl in January 1984.
Oh wow.
It's as if,
I don't remember.
I do, it's as if they were foretelling what the world was going to be like down the road. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Ridley Scott, who is a very famous director, very famous movie director. In fact, I think he did the Oscar-winning film Gladiator.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. Ridley Scott was the director, and he told a really intriguing story about what the world was going to be like in the next 30 to 40 years.
Oh, wow. And they were spot on.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Now, of course, with commercials being on television, there's also commercials that have aired over the radio. Is there any one radio commercial that you remember?
That's a tough one.
One that I remember
I don't know. I can't
that
think
aired
of
on the radio was also on television was Crazy Eddie.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, sure.
His prices are insane.
Insane. Yes.
I personally loved those commercials.
Yeah.
Simply because they were so funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Crazy Eddie.
now people have their choice nowadays. If they don't want to have to deal with those commercials over the radio, they could go straight to satellite. The only problem is they have to
Sure.
pay their way to try and listen to their
Right.
favorite music.
Right. Well, that's like cable too. You got to pay if you want to avoid the commercials. You got to get your premium channels on cable and just watch cable.
Of course, on the bright side, with TV, we always had our favorite shows that we loved watching.
And speaking of, how did we know what shows were on, Jamie?
All you have to do is tell by the title. You just got to mention the title. Oh, here we go. The Osmond siblings.
We had TV
Donnie and Marie.
Guide. This is
We had
this is an authentic TV guide from August of 1976. Look at the pages.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see the pages are yellow. And it's falling apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is part of my collection.
Amazing.
Take a look. We
I have
loved
to
the
see what the
TV
lineup was
guide.
like.
Some of us collected TV guides.
Let's see.
Because the cover was always nice. It always had some celebrity on it. Then they
Since
had the
it's-
crossword puzzles in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So what was on TV on a Monday night at 8 o'clock?
Monday night at 8 o'clock. Let's see what we have going here. Oh, wow. Check this out. The World at War.
The World at War?
Wow.
Was that like a documentary?
It was a series of documentaries about what happened during World War II. And I think they also involved World War I as well. Check this out. Love American
I
Style.
loved Love American Style.
Reruns of the Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch.
Let's see. At 8 o'clock, they had Rhoda.
Rhoda. Do you remember then Phyllis? What came on at
Phyllis,
8:30?
All in the Family,
All
too.
in the Family. Love it.
And that was on CBS.
Love it.
Let's see.
I remember still sitting around the TV at night watching TV. The whole family would watch TV together.
That's right. There was also Medical Center. Maude also.
Love Maude. And then there's Maude.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look like Maude. This is how she used to dress. Isn't that funny?
You know, it's interesting. Maude was a spin-off of All in the Family.
Family. She was Edith's cousin.
Yep.
She did one episode where Edith was sick. Everybody in the house was sick, and she came to take care of them. And she ended up with the spinoff. She was amazing. She was great. And then she had a maid named Florida, and then Florida had a spinoff. Do you remember her spinoff?
It was Good Times.
Good times, anytime you need it.
You know, it's interesting because there's actually a backstory to the real reason why John Amos decided to leave his role of
Yeah.
Mr. Evans.
Tell us about
James
that.
Evans Sr.
I was just reading about that. But
Yeah.
Tell us.
He was not happy, one, about the fact that there was a black family living in the projects, and two, speaking of which, the constant stereotypes that African Americans were facing on television in those
Right.
days.
Yeah. They killed him off because of it.
And guess what else was on a Monday night? Monday Night Baseball.
Oh, I thought you were going to say football. When did that come out?
This
There
was,
was no Monday Night Football in 76?
Yep, Monday Night Football, but that didn't start until September.
Oh, okay. That's right. This is what, August?
And at that time, August 1976, it was either Yankees Royals or Dodgers Pirates.
Wow. Do you remember, speaking of commercials,
Check
in
this out. They actually had-
1976, Bicentennial Minutes?
That's right.
God, didn't we hate them after a while because they were so long? It was
Yep.
like the longest commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'd probably like to hear them, just because I miss it. But it was interesting stuff. But it was so long. And for whoever doesn't know, the bicentennial minutes, it was more than 1 minute, I think.
Yep.
Maybe it was a minute, and it just felt like it was longer. But throughout the whole year of 1976, they would have commercial breaks where a celebrity would talk about something from history, right?
That's right.
Maybe George Washington or Abraham Lincoln or something, Betsy Ross making the flag. It's kind of interesting.
I mentioned those cigarette ads from
they in
back
there?
in the day. Yep. There's something in here for Benson and Hedges 100s.
Benson and Hedges.
Oh,
What does it look
brother.
like? Is it a commercial?
It's an actual advertisement.
Oh, show the camera.
Yep. It is a woman. I'm not sure if you could see it, but it's a woman. Looks like she's playing a secretary, and she's got a cigarette in her mouth, and some guy is standing right next to her and ogling her.
Oh, gosh. We've come a long way.
You could say that again.
Is it Harvey Weinstein?
Probably a young Harvey Weinstein.
It is. No, I'm kidding. I don't want his lawyers contacting me. Who remembers the crossword puzzle? I used to love these. I never finished them completely.
I think we still have the crossword puzzles today in the newspapers, don't we?
More cigarette ads. Mm-hmm. Literally, more is the name of the cigarette.
Yeah, that was obviously a play on words.
And Donnie and Marie, who I love very much, I got to meet Donnie Osmond. He came to the St. George Theater a few years back, and I got a backstage pass from a friend of mine, and he was so wonderful.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart. And him and Marie were in Vegas. They had their own show for over 10 years.
That's right.
And that ended, and now Marie's in New York. She's on a talk show.
Very
With
good.
Ozzy Osbourne's wife, Sharon. Yeah,
With Sharon Osbourne.
Sharon Osbourne. But this is all part of our childhood memories. I have more stuff. Who wants to see more stuff?
So there's your sports
This I'll
moment
give
of
you
the day.
honor of.
Is that a slinky?
It is a slinky. A
Oh.
slinky.
My God.
Let's see if we
That
can
is
get this open.
unbelievable.
Yeah, let's just open it.
I used to have the knockoff slinky back in the day. Oh, and it turns out it was that exact same color.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
brand new. It's the original. It's the original.
Amazing that they
Do
still
you know?
have those.
Do you know how this was invented?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so a naval engineer, Richard T. James,
Mm-hmm.
was sitting at his desk one day, and his chair bumped into the bookshelf behind him, and a coil that was on the top shelf fell off. It bounced off, and it landed on a table, and it landed on the desk, and it landed on the floor, and it was doing this.
Wow.
And he was watching it, and he got the idea to make it a toy.
So all because of an accident, he wound up making this.
Yeah, and he sold them for $1
Classic.
each in Gimbals. Who remembers Gimbals department
I
store?
do.
Yeah.
Didn't we have a Gimbals here on Staten Island?
Oh, that I don't know because I'm originally from Brooklyn. I remember Gimbals like in, was it in the city next to Macy's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember A&S downtown Brooklyn.
Yes.
That I remember.
Here's another store for you. Alexander's.
Alexander's.
My parents
Brooklyn?
loved Alexander's. What's that?
Was that in Brooklyn?
That was in Queens.
That was in Queens. I
In
remember
fact,
Alexander's.
my parents made it a point to go to that Alexander's in East Elmhurst, Queens.
Oh boy! Wow. Okay.
Right off of Queens Boulevard. And I would always look forward to going there because they had the coolest toys.
Nice toy section, right?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that
Miss
place
that.
closed many years ago.
Who misses that? I mean, I miss.
I do.
Going into a physical store.
I can't stop playing
and
with the
playing
Slinky.
with the toys. I know. I love it. It's great. I didn't bring too
man.
many more toys, but I did bring
Batman.
1970. You tell me. I'm gonna put my glasses on. What year is that?
Let's see here.
That's an original Batman
November.
comic book. From what year? Does it tell
it-
you? 76, I believe.
Unfortunately, it doesn't say
I
what
think it's
year
on
it
the
is, but
inside.
it does say the month, which is November, and the cost, which is a quarter.
Okay, it's 76 because these are all Olympic 76.
Uh-huh.
Now, comic books always
Okay.
didn't they always used to sell stuff in the back?
There was a very famous moment in sports that took place in '76, right in the Bronx. Yankees Royals, Game 5 of the ALCS. That was the Chris Chambliss game. Chris Chambliss won the game with his famous home run.
Oh, yeah.
And that was also an Olympic year, too. They had the Summer Olympics in Montreal. Do you know that the city of Montreal took 30 years to pay off all of their debts
No.
to the Olympic Committee?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I did not know that.
All I can say is be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. If your city gets picked to host the Winter Olympics, you better have plenty of cash to pay the bill.
Okay, this was very popular. Do you remember? It was like Johnny Atlas in the back of every comic book.
Oh, wow.
Or like, do you remember?
Wasn't he a Mr. Olympia or a Mr. America?
Yeah, I mean, this is an ad if you want to look like him. It's a muscle book. But they used to have, I don't know if this one has it, but they had, was it Johnny Atlas? Am I saying it right? Where the skinny guy is on the beach with his girlfriend and a big muscular guy comes and kicks sand on him and he's such a little wimp because he's a little skinny guy and he can't defend himself. But then he goes and he orders this thing from the back of the comic book and now
Right.
he ends up the big muscular guy. That was very popular back in the day.
Wow.
It's all good stuff.
And
Good stuff.
whoever foresaw Batman turning into the iconic movie franchise, in addition to being
Oh.
the iconic
Oh,
comic
it's,
book
it's incredible.
franchise
it's incredible.
that it has been.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'll always remember the first Batman movie, which was the one that had Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton was the first.
In
Yes.
fact, he did the first two Batman films.
Yes.
And then there was Val Kilmer.
Kilmer.
And then George Clooney
George
did that
Clooney.
forgettable Batman and Robin film, which, quite frankly, should be stricken from the record books. It was that awful.
But Halle Berry made a great Catwoman, didn't she?
She did, and also, so did
Danny DeVito was a great Penguin.
Danny DeVito was a wonderful
Wonderful.
Penguin.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson was probably one of the three best actors to play the Joker.
I think so too.
Right there
I
with
agree.
Heath Ledger and
Heath
Joaquin
Ledger
Phoenix.
was amazing. May he rest in peace. Yes.
And also there was the Catwoman that was played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Yes.
Yep.
That's right.
And of course, Halle Berry played the Catwoman in the spin-off of the Batman franchise.
That's right. Yes.
But then the franchise was rescued forever when Christian Bale played the movie in Batman Returns and the Dark Knight films.
Yeah.
And
He blew it away, huh? Yeah. He was incredible.
I have not seen Batman versus Superman yet, but
Oh, it's good.
you think so?
I liked it.
Because from
Yeah.
what I understand, that movie got a lot of criticism, especially
Yeah,
for
but-
Jesse Eisenberg playing the role of Lex Luthor.
I don't know. I guess you'd have to see it and see for yourself. I liked it.
Fortunately, they broadcast it on cable a lot. It's usually on TNT. You know what else they broadcast quite a bit?
What's that?
The whole Star Wars franchise,
Yes.
specifically
Yes.
episodes 1 through 8.
And they just did the last one
And they
with
did the last
Carrie
one, which
Fisher.
was episode 9.
Carrie Fisher
Yeah.
was in it.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace to
Rest
the
in
now
peace.
late Carrie
Thank God
Fisher.
that she was able to be in it. I mean,
Yeah.
before she passed away.
I'm curious to know, because they're going to do another trilogy, episodes 10, 11, and 12. It's not even a
will.
question of if anymore. It's a question of
When?
I'm curious what kind of characters they're going to introduce for 10, 11, and 12. I would assume that the character of Rey is going to be there. And Rey was surprisingly a very, very strong character. I mean, she learned the Force well from Skywalker. She was a rather willing participant of getting involved in the wars with the First Order. So now let's see what happens in 10, 11, and 12. But I remember the first movie came out in 1976.
I was there.
And that was episode 4.
I remember.
I didn't
must have
see
seen
it
about
until
5 times.
maybe 3 or 4 years later, because we would go to one of those grindhouse
Well, you were
theaters.
young. I was in the 6th grade.
I went to a grindhouse in Washington Heights. It was called the Astral. And we would go there all the time to see a whole bunch of movies. They would show everything from Star Wars to this really
About the Rockies.
horrendous
The Rocky movies.
horror film
Oh, okay.
called
It's
this
like
really
dark
horrendous horror
movies.
film. Yeah, they would show everything from Rocky to Star Wars
Okay.
to this really horrendous horror film called Maniac.
Oh boy. No,
Remember that movie?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh boy,
No.
it's about this nut job who goes around all
Might
over
have knew
New
him.
York.
I don't know.
It's about a nut job who goes all around New York, scalping the hair
Oh.
of young women.
Oh.
You know they actually had the nerve to make a remake with
Well-
Elijah Wood.
Oh, yeah? No.
Yeah. And let me tell you, that one was probably twice as bloody as the first film. Elijah Wood. This guy was in the
was a
Hobbit
hobbit.
movies. And Lord of the
Hobbit gone
Rings.
psycho.
Oh, great. Frodo Baggins terrorizes New York.
Well, Jamie, one thing I do on my show
Mm-hmm.
is when we have guests come on, we do little trivia games. So I thought it would be
Yes.
fun for you guys at home also. I got some sports trivia questions for
Okay.
you. Let's see how well you do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll start with something easy. Maybe it's easy. You probably know all of them. You're the sports guy.
Possibly.
Okay. Okay, so the first question is, when did the Brooklyn Dodgers move to LA? What year?
1958.
1958.
Yep. And
That's
there was
right.
there's a really rather somber backstory about how the move started. They were actually in talks with the city of New York for about 4 or 5 years. They've been wanting a new stadium because the owner at the time, he had not been happy about the fact that the neighborhood in Brooklyn, which is in Flatbush, was starting to become more integrated.
It was changing. Okay.
It was changing in the eyes of a lot of people for the
So
better.
This was what, early 50s?
Early 50s, early to
Okay.
mid 50s. And he wanted a brand new stadium. So there was talk about possibly moving the Dodgers to Queens, where the Mets are now. In fact, they were,
It's before the Mets.
yep, there was talk of this really attractive piece of real estate in Flushing Meadow, right on the exact same site where the old Shea Stadium used to be.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And there was a lot
On
of
real
back and
estate.
forth, a lot of arguments,
And it didn't happen.
and it didn't happen. And as it turns out, at almost near the very end, the people in Los Angeles introduced him to some real estate, which is on Chavez Ravine, practically on a tar pit. They literally built Dodger Stadium on a tar pit. They took out I don't know if they took all of the tar out or maybe built concrete over the tar pit, but this was a potential lucrative payday that the Dodgers were going to be getting, and it left every single person all over Brooklyn devastated.
Wow.
And as it turns out,
You're very knowledgeable.
yeah.
I didn't know any of that.
So while the Dodgers went to LA, almost around that same time was when the Giants moved from Manhattan to San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Because they were not happy about the declining conditions over at the Polo Grounds. So they got some real estate in Frisco,
Okay.
and over more than 60 years later, both the Dodgers and the Giants are doing very, very well. The Dodgers are doing much better now because they've won, I think, the last 2 out of the last 3 pennants. So,
Nice.
as it turns out, after both teams left, the Mets wound up being created,
Yes.
and they took over the Polo Grounds in 1962, and 55, 56, 57 years later, they've become they've practically become the ugly stepsisters to the Yankees right now.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
as it turns out, there's some just a few weeks left before pitchers and catchers, and both the Mets and the Yankees are going to be getting ready.
Yeah.
Let's see what the
That's right.
Mets do for a manager, though, because Carlos Beltran dropped out after that cheating scandal. So Let's see if the Mets can
That's
get
right.
themselves a manager pronto.
Wow. And he was a good manager.
Yes, he was.
A lot of skeletons and a lot of closets, right?
Do you have any more trivia quote for us?
I got a ton. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The first Super Bowl was played between which two teams and who won in 1967?
Green Bay beat Kansas City, 35-10.
Oh, you were good. That's exactly what it says. Very good. Okay, next. Everybody knows this, I think. What heavyweight champion was bitten on the ear by Mike Tyson?
Evander Holyfield.
1997.
You know,
Yes,
Evander Holyfield also happens to be the only heavyweight champion that I know of to get a ticker tape parade in his hometown.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
I think he's also a minister.
Yes. He's an
Very
ordained
nice.
minister,
and he
he's
handled
done
that
very
very
well.
gracefully. He had to get stitches in the ear and everything.
He always was a classy guy.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so far you got 3 out of 3. Muhammad Ali retired from boxing in 1981.
Right?
This is a tough one. What was his career record? How many wins, how many losses? Out of 60 fights.
So he had 60 fights in his career. He was...
You want to phone a friend? You want to phone Kenny? Kenny?
I'll take a wild guess and say 53, 6, and 1.
Very close. Very close. He had 55 wins and 5 defeats.
Oh.
But I'll
See,
give you an
I had
alternative question. Alternative question. What was his name before he changed it to Muhammad Ali?
Cassius Clay.
There you go. Ding, ding, ding. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Moving over to golf.
Oh, here we go.
In what year did Tiger Woods begin his professional golf career?
1993.
Ooh. Was that your final answer? Want to try again?
I guess I'll try again. 1996, maybe?
Yes. 1996.
Okay, good.
Very good.
Nice.
Okay. Hockey.
Ah, here we go.
One of the greatest hockey players of all time, Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah.
played for what team in the 1980s?
Actually, he played for 2 teams in the 80s, but the majority of the 80s he played for the Oilers.
That's it. That's the one we're looking for.
Yep.
The Oilers.
And then he finished his career with the Kings, the Blues, and the Rangers.
Didn't he always get into fights on the ice? Was that
You
him?
know, I don't remember one single time
Wasn't him?
that Wayne Gretzky ever got himself involved in a fight.
Oh, so then it wasn't him. But there was one hockey player that was always with the sticks.
Actually,
in
there
the
was
middle-
a bunch. There were a
in the middle
bunch
of
of
a
hockey
fight. Maybe it
players
wasn't him.
that get involved in
I
fights.
don't want to give him a bad rap. Okay, so he was a good. He was very patient on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, horse racing.
Ah.
We got a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. What was the name of the horse that won the Triple Crown to be the first winner in 25 years? He won the Triple Crown. First horse. First winner in 25 years.
All right, I'm going to take a guess and say Barbaro.
I'll give you a little hint. What did you call that woman in the cigarette ad? You called her a what?
A secretary. Oh, Secretariat.
Secretariat. There you go. I don't know what year that was, though.
I think it was 1973.
Huh. Okay, another Tiger Woods question.
Okay.
Tiger Woods won the Masters in 1997. How old was he?
He was 21.
Wow, you are good.
Yeah, his birthday is actually December 1975. So at that time, he was only 21 years old. He had not reached his 22nd birthday
Oh, wow.
yet.
Okay, so he was the latter part of 21.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so far I kind of lost count. Tell you what you got.
I think I might have gotten maybe 1 or 2 wrong.
8. All right, we'll say 7 out of 8. Okay. All right. Babe Ruth.
Oh, yes.
He began his baseball career for the Boston Red Sox in 1914. In what position did he play?
He was a pitcher.
He was a pitcher.
Yep. And he was a very good pitcher, too. Mm-hmm. Had a great fastball, and he always challenged the hitters, too. He never held anything back. In fact, I think he had an ERA around 2 or so
So he,
for his career as a pitcher.
yeah, he played for the Red Sox. Did he also play for the Yankees?
Yes, he did. 15
And then who
years.
else? So,
He ended his career in Boston with the Boston Braves.
oh,
So he started his major league career and ended his major league career in Boston.
okay.
So he's got a real connection between both of those cities.
Did he play for the Yankees when Lou Gehrig was there?
Yes, he did.
So they were there at the same time.
Mm-hmm. There were rumors about the two not necessarily being the best of friends, probably because of a rumor that
Competition?
apparently Babe's wife said something derogatory about Gehrig's mother or vice versa.
Yeah.
So
That's all it takes, one comment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. What was the name of Babe Ruth's candy bar?
Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth. All
As
right.
it turns out, the candy bar was never even named after Baby Ruth. It was named after President Roosevelt's kid.
Yeah, but then they said that the candy company said that because Babe Ruth was not getting any royalties. So when Babe Ruth decided to sue them, they says, "Oh no, we were naming it after the president's daughter." That was a lie, and they had to actually fork over money. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so let's see. A little surprise here. Okay, so
Now this
here's
is
a question
interesting.
for you.
Right.
This is like, let's make a deal. What's in the box? Okay. Besides Ruth, what other baseball player had a candy bar named after him?
Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson.
In fact, there was one game that he played with the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. He had, I think, 2 or 3 home runs in a game. All the fans threw Reggie bars onto the field to celebrate his accomplishments. Is that a Reggie
what
bar?
They threw?
Oh
Guys,
my God!
This is a 41-year-old Reggie bar. Yeah.
So obviously it cannot be edible.
It's not for consumption purposes. But this was never opened. There's a baseball card inside. The Reggie bar was actually round.
Wow.
I think with caramel, peanuts, milk chocolate. But this is part of my collection. Isn't this great?
Amazing.
41 years old. It came out, I think they started making them in 78.
Mm-hmm.
And then by 82, you didn't see them anymore.
Yeah. Now, what
cool?
did the
You can
Reggie
look
bar
at it.
consist of? Let's see what we have here.
You can
Milk
read it.
chocolate, peanut butter, and roasted peanuts.
No caramel?
Nope. One of 3 limited collection cards
Yeah.
inside.
It's
Wow.
got a collection card inside.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that awesome?
Unbelievable.
See, this is
wow.
what I love. I love collecting things. I have such a huge collection at home. You wouldn't believe.
Oh, I
this
can
is
imagine.
some of the stuff.
There's probably a shrine over at your place.
You know, it's funny because people say when they come in my house, they should have their hand stamped because it's like a museum.
Mm-hmm.
So Reggie Jackson hit his 3rd consecutive home run in the 1976 6th game of the World Series where they beat the Los Angeles Dodgers.
That's right.
So that's what they get for leaving Brooklyn. You did good. You did good.
Thank you.
All right. So I have a prize for you.
You do.
I do, I
okay,
do.
this I gotta see.
All right. I don't know if you ever had one of these. But here, you can take it out of the box.
Even had it shipped to you from Amazon and
Oh,
everything.
yeah. Amazon's my
Oh,
best friend.
come on. Are you serious?
Did you ever have one?
Never.
Well, now you do.
The Rock'em Sock'em game. Oh my
Isn't that awesome?
good.
Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Oh my goodness. This is a classic.
They don't call me Retro Queen for nothing.
Oh wow. Thank you for this.
Isn't that great?
This is so wonderful.
And then while you're playing, you can
Unbelievable.
drink some Tab.
You got a can of Tab.
It's part of my collection. Now, Tab, for those that don't remember Tab, it was very popular in the 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it contained, I think, 1 calorie,
Yep.
right? And they named it Tab so you could keep a tab on your weight. That was the slogan. And but it contained saccharin. And then remember
okay.
the studies were coming out that saccharin was causing cancer in lab rats. And later on they found out that wasn't true, believe it or not. It wasn't true. But because of that, they stopped making Tab and they started making Diet Coke. So this came before Diet Coke. This is from the Coca-Cola company. Yeah.
You know, I can
Pretty cool.
remember seeing a can of Tab someplace just recently.
Yeah, I think in some states you can still find it.
Yeah.
In some states. But here in New York you can't find this.
In fact, I'm not sure about this, but I think I might have seen a can of Tab as far away as Canada.
So Canada has them, huh?
Quite possibly.
Are they selling the Diet Coke too with it?
Probably. I can remember the commercial very vividly. Just a pair of lips and a straw and that can of Tab.
I remember drinking this all through high school because of 1 calorie. It was great. So you still had soda. You still got to, quench your thirst with the soda that you love. And it didn't taste so bad either.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Did you have a favorite soft drink when you were growing up?
I have a funny story about a favorite soft drink. So my sister and I would see the Kool-Aid commercials. Do you remember the Kool-Aid commercial with the big
sure
pitcher
do.
bashing
Oh,
through
yeah.
the wall? Oh, yeah. Yes. So we had to have, we were little. We were like 7, 8 years old. We had to have Kool-Aid. So every time we went to the supermarket, we'd beg our mother, please get a Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid. And she was not into sugary drinks. I mean, we ate healthy, we drank healthy in the house, juice, milk, whatever, but she wasn't really into the sugary drinks. But we just begged her until she couldn't take it anymore. So she says, okay. So she got grape Kool-Aid and she brings it home and she mixes it with water. And you're supposed to add sugar because when it originally came out, it didn't have sugar in it. You were supposed to add sugar and she didn't. So she's mixing the grape Kool-Aid powder to the water, and she puts it in a glass for me and my sister, and it was like the most awful thing. And she's like, you begged me for this, now you have to drink it. So we're drinking this really disgusting pink, purple liquid because she didn't put the sugar. But yeah, so that's my Kool-Aid memory.
Wow.
I actually used to love vanilla egg creams. I still do.
Nice.
And you would get those at Woolworths. Remember Woolworths had like the little luncheonette area?
I remember Woolworths vividly. There was a Woolworths that was off of Bay Street all those years ago.
Yeah. And you can go in there and you can get something to eat. They made sandwiches while you were shopping, right? Remember? There was a photo booth in there if you wanted to take pictures with your friends.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those really were some
They really were.
outstanding times.
Yeah.
Now, what else do you have that you can try and make us feel young again?
Wow. I got some wrinkle cream in my bag, I think. No. I have tons of celebrity dolls at my house.
Oh, okay.
So I only brought a couple, but I'll tell you, I have the Little Rascals. I have Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. I have Lucy and Ricky. I have Marilyn Monroe. I mean, it's endless. Humphrey Bogart, which the younger people think is Inspector Gadget. But I did bring 2 of my dolls.
Oh, wow.
Sunday, Monday,
Happy days.
Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
Potsy!
Okay,
Love
so we got
Potsy.
the Fonz.
And the Fonz.
And we got Potsy.
Do you know that the
How cool is
Fonz...
this?
Do you know that the Fonz is responsible for 3 of the most hated words on television?
Sit on it.
Close.
Oh, wait, let me guess. That he would say?
That became that became a catchphrase.
And it's not sit on it?
Within the television industry.
Oh.
3 words
3
that
words.
he became famous for because of a very famous scene that he did in an episode.
Oh gosh, it wasn't. I was because you couldn't say the word wrong.
Close.
Do you remember?
Jump the Shark.
Oh, jump the shark. Yes.
Jump the Shark
That was
is
an
a
amazing
term
scene.
in television
Yes.
in which a television show's quality starts to
days.
decline because of a particular scene in an episode or because of a particular episode.
Yeah.
That was,
On his motorcycle.
yep,
Fonzarelli. Yeah.
he actually went water skiing
Water skiing. That's right.
and he literally jumped a shark.
Yes.
And that was probably when
Jump the shark. That's right.
that was probably when people thought that was the beginning of the end for the show.
Yeah.
And it really was because it was
on
starting to get
for
a
very
little long
long
in the
time.
tooth.
Yeah. I mean, it was on for a very long time. And then when Ron Howard left,
Yeah.
when he left the show, because he wanted to be behind the scenes, and he became an amazing director.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. It just wasn't the same.
Yeah. In fact, on one of my favorite cartoons, which is The Simpsons, a lot of people say that the episode where Principal Skinner assumed the identity of a Vietnam soldier, a U.S. soldier who served in Vietnam, because he had thought that the soldier had died, was probably the beginning of the end for The Simpsons. And that was the moment where The Simpsons jumped the shark.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They've been on a long time.
Yes, they have. If
gotta
I'm not
be one of the
mistaken, I think it was
longest-running
on
shows.
10 years. It was on, the episode aired, I think, during its 10th season, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
But the show itself has been on for like forever.
This is its
right?
30th
Yeah,
season.
Yeah, it's very
Actually,
long.
31st season.
It's a very long-running show.
And you know what? I don't think it's going to be slowing down anytime soon.
No.
There's still too big of a fan base that wants to see the show continue.
Yeah. And they've never grown up. That would be
Nope.
funny. I don't know if you remember the Flintstones where they had
Oh,
they had
yes.
Pebbles and Bam Bam grow up. They were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Pebbles and Bam Bam Variety Hour. Yeah, right, variety show. Variety show. See, now that's what my show basically is. It's a variety
We don't have
show.
those. We don't have those anymore on television.
No, that's
don't
what
you?
I love. I want to bring back Carol Burnett skits. I want to bring back the Sonny and Cher variety show type skits. And Donnie and Marie, they used to have a variety show. We don't have that, and I love that, and people love that. And so that's what we do. And we do little skits. If you watch, we're on every Wednesday night. You don't mind me plugging it. We're on every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this. And it's an hour show, no commercial breaks. So we make our own commercials. And we
That's
take
right.
old commercials and we change them up a little bit. And it's a lot of fun.
Speaking of commercials, if we could go back to that story about famous commercials.
Mm-hmm.
What about the commercials that feature actual celebrities?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder which one people would consider to be the single greatest commercial that featured a celebrity.
I know one that could be maybe the most memorable one, and it was Heather Locklear.
Oh,
And
yes.
she was washing her hair, and then she said, and they'll tell someone, and so on and so on. And so, do you remember? And then she just kept multiplying on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From what I understand, Heather Locklear has not been doing so well recently.
No. She's gone through a lot, and she's
Man, that's terrible.
got issues. It's sad.
I mean, I remember
Nobody
her
knows
from-
what's going on behind closed doors with
Yeah,
people. You know?
I remember when she was on Melrose Place for 8 years.
She started out on Dynasty.
That's right.
Yeah.
Started out on Dynasty,
Yeah.
then I think she did T.J. Hooker for 3 years,
She
didn't
did.
she?
Yes, with William Shatner.
Yeah.
Yes. Those were great shows, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
What was your favorite show growing up? Or you probably
Too
had
many to even
I was going to say
count.
that. You probably have too many. All right, how
But
about
if
a
I had to
cartoon?
pick one,
Yeah,
The Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show. Okay.
Outstanding television.
The wit, the humor. Yeah. How about cartoon?
Cartoon. Oh, too many to even
Yeah.
mention.
You know what I have at home that I could have brought? I actually have Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Oh, yes.
Little figurines.
It
Very cute.
it wound up being tainted though because of that horrendous film that Bill Cosby decided to sign off on. It was just brutal.
Oh, you're talking about the remake, the Fat Albert?
The one that had Kenan Thompson
Kenan
playing
Thompson. Yeah.
Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Tell you what though, There was this one cartoon that I saw, which came out in the 60s, called Courageous Cat and Minute Mouse,
I remember them.
about a crime-fighting cat and mouse team.
That's right, yes.
They had some of the coolest jazz music, and they probably had the single coolest theme song for a cartoon series that I ever heard.
Can you sing it?
Oh no,
Do you remember
that's not even possible to sing. I would probably have
Was
to.
it just music? Because I don't remember it.
It was a jazz score.
Ah.
I wonder if I can.
Remember Underdog?
What's that?
Underdog?
I remember
There's no
Underdog
need to
very,
fear.
very well.
Underdog is here.
Mm-hmm.
How about Mighty Mouse? What was his?
Here I come to save the day.
Here I come to save the day. Yep.
In fact, they used to have the reruns on Channel 11
Did they?
for many, many years.
Wow. How about Mr. Rogers? Did you see the movie?
Oh, wow. Not only did I see the movie,
Did you like the movie?
I loved the movie.
I loved the
and I
movie,
was
too.
so happy when Tom Hanks got nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor.
Yes, he so deserved it. Yes, you got to see
It's
that
as
movie.
if he was
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
The best part about the movie is it's obvious that whoever did the screenplay was doing his homework or her homework.
Yeah.
Because they turned this movie into basically an almost 2-hour episode of the TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Rogers would tell the story about the author that did an interview with him.
Yeah.
And about
Yeah, they
some of
got
the stuff
close.
that the writer was going through,
Mm-hmm.
his issues with his father, his issues with
Yeah.
his wife.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
But he had such
pinpoint.
compassion, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't realize it as kids, but when you look back, you realize his message was for children how to deal with your emotions. Like, what
That's
do you
right.
do when these kids don't want to play with you anymore, or you're getting bullied? You know, what do you do with the anger you're feeling? And he actually, helped us to
Mm-hmm.
figure out how to handle that. What's the best way to handle it?
And just to show you how much of a sense of humor he had, you know how on Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy was playing the role of
Mr.
Robinson
Hysterical.
in Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. He
Yes.
came back to
He
Saturday
did. I
Night
saw
Live,
it.
and he did that
He
skit
did
all
it.
over again.
He said he says, can you say gentrification, boys and girls? Because the neighborhood was, right?
Because the neighborhood had changed. Yep.
Had changed. And the apartment, the rundown apartment went for $1.2 million now. Right? Like, that's how expensive the buildings were.
Well, in real life, Mr. Rogers actually found those skits funny.
He did, yes.
He loved
He
those
did,
skits.
yes. He had a great sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. And he was a very religious man.
Yeah. He used to pray for people. That's what they said in the movie. The wife said he prays for people by name. People that would write to him, because he got tons of letters. He would pray for them. I think that was great,
Yep.
too. He made a big difference in the world.
Mhm. By the way,
Great legacy.
you asked about the Courageous Cat
Yes.
and Minute Mouse
What you got?
theme song. Oh, wait a minute.
Let's see. Now you're going to bring back memories for me.
Here we go. I'm not sure if the people can hear this
Maybe.
at home.
Yes! That's some score.
Yep.
There's just got a minute, Mouse. I never realized how much it sounds like Get Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, that's great.
How about that?
That is great.
Mm-hmm.
So was that one of your favorite cartoons?
One of my favorite cartoons.
How about the Flintstones? Did you ever get into
Love
the
the
Flintstones?
Flintstones too.
Now, what do you think
I had
about
a real
it?
crush on Betty Rubble though.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
Do you know she was from Petticoat Junction?
Really?
Yeah, she was the same actress.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Do you know it originated from? Well, this is what they say. Originated from the Honeymooners, and if you look at the
that
Honeymooners,
I know.
right? See
Yeah.
the similarities?
Many, many similarities between Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble and
Ralph and Ed
Ralph and Ed Norton.
Norton. Yes. Talk about a classic.
I wonder what Mr. Gleason must have thought
About the
if
cartoon?
and when he saw that particular cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, you know that old saying, imitation is the
Imitation is the-
sincerest form of flattery.
Somebody just told me that today, and yes, you're absolutely right. Yes.
Well, we have about 4 minutes left. Are there any final thoughts that you have that you would like to share with us?
I guess memories are very important.
This is true.
And I think reminiscing is very healthy for the mind. And a lot of times, like music, TV shows, even toys, trigger memories of a time where people that are no longer here were with us. And for my show, like it makes, even if I put a smile on one person's face, I feel like I did good. And like for my show, like at the end of my show, people will like send me messages and say, "Oh my God, that clip you showed took me back to my grandmother's living room. And I'm sitting on the floor watching TV with my grandmother. Like you really took me back." And I just think we need to just treasure our time with our family, our friends, and build memories, because memories last. You can't take our memories away from us.
What is your greatest memory of your family?
I would say sitting around watching TV together, just all being together,
Yep.
like the Waltons. I mean, I came
Little
from a
House on
large
the Prairie.
family, and there was always a lot of people in the house, and everybody doing their own thing. But when we actually came together, it was such a great feeling.
Well, 2.5 minutes remaining. Before I sign off, I just want to acknowledge the coolest guy in the room right now.
He is cool.
Kenny Graham, who's on
But
the other side of the glass.
We would love to
He's
get him to
shaking his
come-
head
we'd
no,
love
but
to
he
get him to
knows
come
he's
over
cool.
here and play Rock'em
You know
Sock'em
why?
Robots with Jamie.
Because he always helps out his fellow brethren and his fellow
Sister.
co-workers, his fellow sisters, of course. He's just straight up superb.
Yes, he
Mr.
is.
Graham, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Kenny.
And he gives us the thumbs up.
Hey, like the fonts.
If I could probably share a memory of my family,
I would love that.
every single road trip that we took to Miami,
Oh, that's
especially
great.
Christmas time.
You did. You went.
Christmas time in Miami was outstanding.
Oh, that's great.
Spend it with my aunt, who unfortunately passed away over a year ago. Spend it with my
Sorry.
cousins. Spend it with both of my sisters and their families. I mean, how many people do you know of that would actually lay in a pool on a December afternoon around Christmas time? Can't beat those things.
No. And you won't find that here in New York.
Nope, not
So
even.
Those are special
I
memories.
mean, even coming in tonight, it was just freezing cold out here.
It is cold.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's coming up on a minute now. I think it's best that we just sign off and preserve the memories that we have of this night. Denise, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for
It's
being
amazing.
here. And you know you're welcome here anytime,
Thank you.
right?
I appreciate that.
No, we should do
Thank
a collaboration on your show.
We could do it.
That'd be
you
wonderful.
gotta come on mine now.
Thanks
Remember,
again to
Wednesdays at
everyone
8.
for
Check it out.
watching us. For everyone here, I'm Jamie, and she's Denise.
Denise.
Good night, everyone.